Welcome to part 3 of the home ownership for financial security series. If you have been on this channel, you know that I have for the last 2 Fridays, I started a series called Home Ownership for Financial Security. Once again, I welcome you. My name is Lucy Githaiga. I continue to welcome you to subscribe, to like, to comment, to share, so that we can continue to learn. Now, remember, this channel, it's here for, I am a financial coach. I want to help. Mine is to really, speak to especially women who are in employment. Key thing is that you are in employment and that you are serving in mid-level management or in senior management, and so you are interested in just organizing your financial future or organizing your life around money. The reason I do this, I will always repeat why I do this, is because I was serving for about 20 years of my career journey in employment, because I served in employment for 24 years until August of this year, 2023, when I left employment. But during that time of my life in employment, there are certain things that I learned, looking back. I have, if you've been on this channel, you know that I have been talking about my 47th birthday Damascus moment, where I woke up one day and realized, oops, where did the money go? Where did all the money that I earned because I worked for an NGO, where did it go? And so I know for people who are in mid-level management, senior management, people who are earning a high income, sometimes and who are in employment, sometimes it's very easy to sort of forget that there is something that we are called to do when it comes to money, and that is proper financial stewardship, proper money management, because as I always tell you guys, employment is not permanent. There will come a day when you will walk out of your employer. There will come a day when you will separate with your employer. And so I want to constantly remind you, by the way, I am sent. I told you I am sent for people who are in employment. I am sent for women who are in employment, because we really must, begin to sort of take charge of our financial future, because you don't want to just earn good money today and then your tomorrow doesn't look good because you did not expose yourself to financial literacy. You did not expose yourself to knowledge that allows you to, begin to, focus your money in a better way. So I thought about, I would invite you to, I hope you have watched, there's some videos that I posted. There's actually, I think, a playlist on financial freedom, and that financial freedom, I talked about 7 levels of financial freedom. Please go back there and watch, because in this series of the of home ownership for financial security, I am making reference to some of the things that I said in those videos. So it would be nice for you to watch, so that you can also follow through what I am saying. Now, we were talking in the first video of this series, of part 1 of this series, we were talking about the importance of home ownership, why home ownership is important. And I don't want to repeat what I said, so kindly go back there and see what it is that we were talking about in terms of why it is important to own a home. And then in the part 2, I was answering the question, is it possible to actually own a home? I mean, is it possible? And I was trying to zoom into your procrastination. I was zooming into your areas of doubt. I was zooming into the things that sometimes make you feel like it's a very far off goal, and I was telling you it is possible. And I gave my own story. The reason sometimes I give my own stories is to actually encourage you and tell you that really it is possible. So if you didn't get that, please go back to that video and listen to it. So today I promised that today I was going to say to just talk the practicals of how. Okay, fine. So you have told me it is possible. You have told me it is important. I know the question of the conversation about how, and I told you that I talk about the things that I know. I talk about practical things of the things I know. Now, there are various ways of owning a home, for sure. You can of course buy a home. You can save, and out of your savings and everything, you decide, you know what, I have saved, and so now I am going to buy a home, whatever. We see homes being advertised all over the place. So you know that you can buy a home directly from your savings or from your loans or whatever. You can buy a home. Number two, you can decide that you want to get a mortgage. You can sign up into a mortgage. I told you I have never signed up to a mortgage, so that world of the mortgage is not something that I can say this is how, this is what, this is how. No, you can look out for the information. If mortgage is the direction that you want to, if mortgage is the direction that you choose, then of course you can look out for more information to understand how that world works and what it means. Maybe in future, we can probably do videos around that. But I today I just wanted to look at is use the SACCO, say the SACCO as a route, because that is the route that I used, and I know that there are many other people who use the route of the SACCO. So if for example you've not thought about the fact that you can actually use a SACCO to be able to build, obtain and own a home, then I am here to tell you that it is actually possible. Now, you all know that when it comes to a SACCO, the issue is that the SACCO requires that you save a particular amount of money every month. And then after you have saved that particular amount of money every month, then you would of course borrow 3 times, depending on the SACCO. I think there are some SACCOs that say you may borrow 4 times, depending on the size of the SACCO. You may borrow maybe 3 times or 4 times, depending on the of what the policy of the SACCO is. And once you have borrowed, then of course you have the period of repayment, and the period of repayment is of course dependent on the type of loan. There are those that give development loans, and so even for the construction of homes, and you would have to find out, do your research to find out whether there are SACCOs, and I believe there are, whether there are SACCOs that would give you a home development loan, which then maybe gives a longer repayment period. That is for you to do the research, because ours here is to really just point you and tell you that this is possible, and you're able to then go do what you need to do. Now, when it comes to, obviously, one of the other side of the SACCO is that obviously you have to have guarantors, and guarantors are people who say, hey, we are putting our name, we are signing up for you, that in the event that you do not, that this person does, if Lucy does not pay this loan, we are happy for you. We are telling you, the SACCO, that you can deduct our, you can take our shares. So, and that becomes the biggest challenge when it comes to a SACCO, obviously. So the key thing in SACCOs is building trust with a group of people who you are able to then guarantee each other, so that and you have to obviously, of course, know this person. And it's not just, when I was in employment, I used to see people just bringing that the SACCO, the sign for me, please sign for me, please sign for me, because of course they want to fill up. And sometimes you might sign for somebody, but that person they may not be completely trustworthy. They may lose their job somewhere along the way, and they may not be able to pay the loan. So I think that is where now you have to really employ your wisdom and be very clear and be very sure what that looks like. And so that even in the event that the SACCO is not your route, then you can as well go for the bank loan, depending on what it is that you want. But anyway, today we were discussing about the SACCO, and we were asking how can you use the SACCO for home ownership. Now, I think for me there are probably 2 ways, two approaches. One approach is, because. And here we are talking about home ownership, where you are building your home, not necessarily buying the one that has already been constructed. It's where you are saying that I am going to build my home from scratch. I am going to obtain the piece of land, because once you obtain the piece of land, you have the option of deciding where exactly you would want to live. I mean, and sometimes when you're starting in life, sometimes you may not have all the luxury in terms of, you can decide you want to go and stay in Rwanda. Very good. Or wherever else, high end places. Now, of course, that depends on your pocket and how, and where you are, from a financial standpoint. But generally, for someone who is starting off, and for someone who is in employment, maybe they're in mid-level management, maybe they have just stepped into higher level management. Of course, they are earning some reasonable income. They are in their 30s. They are trying to see how they can secure this home ownership goal, so that they can begin to sort of begin to move the lever of their financial security. Because remember what we said in the financial freedom videos is that once you get to the third level of financial freedom, the breathing room and the stability and the flexibility, the third, fourth, and fifth level, that is where we often make mistakes, because you have this extra income, and because you have this extra income, and because you did not find clarity in the first level of financial freedom, that's where you make all the mistakes. And by the way, you are speaking to the person, you are speaking to me, who has been there, done it, made mistakes with all the extra money that I had, in terms of the money that I was here making while in employment, and because I wasn't clear, things just happened. The only good thing, though, is that at the beginning of my career, when I was still young in career, I was able to actually I was able to, to hit the goal of home ownership when I was 27. I have discussed that in the part 2 of this series of home ownership for financial security. So please go and listen to that. And so that was my saving grace. Let me tell you, good people, home ownership. I don't know. It looks like I might repeat. It was my saving grace. When I lost a job, I think I shared the story of how I lost a job when I was, I think, 33 or thereabout. I lost a job, and home ownership was one of the things that I kind of felt that it was good. Now, the reason why I was also able to leave employment and to be able to pursue my own my coaching business and develop and grow my coaching business is because I have a home. This place where I am having this video, this is a home office that I constructed during, is it during Corona or after Corona? Somewhere anyway, after Corona, when, of course, working from home became the thing, the route for me. So home ownership is good. And therefore, one of the advantages of having the home in your own compound, your own home, is that it gives you a bit of choices. It gives you some choices than flats. And I am not saying that you cannot, live in a flat. I mean, that's a choice, of course, that you make. As I am saying, it is me. I am talking about the things that I know. And if you resonate with my idea, then of course you might see what that looks like. But of course, the choice is yours. It's up to you to decide where you might wish to live. So the question about the idea of the SACCO and being able to buy the plot from where which to build your home, you have the choice. You are able to decide where do I want to live, what kind of where is it, how far is it from where I work, what are the facilities there, is it an upcoming area, what is there, so you're able to make that decision, because that decision is also comes hand in hand with the price of the land. Of course, the farther you go from the center, the less expensive it is. But I'm telling you, I remember when we were coming here 23 years ago, it looked so far. Yani Rongai looked like it is the end of the earth. It is like the end of the earth. I remember one friend who I came with, and we boarded those KBS buses, and she was like, "My goodness, this is so far. How are you going to live so far?" So it looked very far. Today, I mean, we take some 30 minutes to get to town. So again, it's not, so sometimes it might look like it's so far, but you have to also have the vision of the future, and you have to see where everything is headed, so that you are able to make the decision about whatever. So we are talking about now the thing of, if your route is that of, I will buy the plot and then I will do the construction. Of course, you still have to decide, what kind of a house. As I said yesterday, sometimes you might get so blinded and so stuck about, I want this dream house, my big house, my dream house. It has to have the swimming pool. It has to have this. It has to have this. Again, it depends on where you are in life. Okay. But I always say sometimes many things make us not start or make us not implement, because we are so stuck in the whole thing of all that. And I am not saying that dreaming is bad. Please get me right. But I am only saying that sometimes some things can hold us back. They can hold us back. And yet I was also saying that you might start small. You might start from a level where, yes, based on where you are, based on your ability, because we are talking about financial security, you might start off by, building and constructing a small home, a 2-bedroom, a 3-bed, maybe a 3-bedroom house, with own compound where you can, do other things. That's probably where you want to start. Because inevitably, as you advance in your career, assuming that you will continue in employment, or if you step out to do your own business, and as you advance, there is absolutely nothing wrong that says that you cannot move. I mean, I have so many of my friends who started off. By the way, I have a very good friend of mine. The friend who I say was the mentor who sort of encouraged me when I wanted to, it was time for me to sort of now buy this place. She gave me her story. She told me that she started off with her first house was a Tiba house, Yambao. Yes, in fact, she didn't even have money to put windows. She had put karatasi, those makaratasi ya nylon ile, when the wind comes inafanya tutututu, unasikia ni kama manoise inakuwa hupo. She started there. She started off with a Tiba house, and then with time she was able to then now build her other house, and then with time, as she continued to advance, she was able to rent that house and within the same space be able to do her rental houses. And then she bought another house where she she thought, okay, this is my dream house. Now I have gotten my dream house. She moved to that dream house, stayed for a couple of years, and then she decided, no, this is not what I want. By the time she was moving, she was able to actually sell her land. I think was it her house. That house, I think she was able to sell it for about, was it 45 million or whatever it was. And then now she was able to now move to wherever as she advanced. Because let me tell you, sometimes you're never able to really tell what life looks like 10, 15, 20 years from today. You have no clue, and God can bless you until you advance, and then as you continue to advance, then you will change, but you will have at least secured. Because I am talking to people in employment, by the way. Please don't get it wrong. Don't get it twisted here. You will have at least secured the portion of financial security that is so critical, because as we said, you can lose your job. Things can happen in your workplace, and you don't have the opportunity to continue working. And so when you leave, at least you're not scratching your head and getting so troubled because you cannot afford rent. Okay, so it's for that person that I am speaking to. So if you have your own ideas of grand ideas, okay, I respect you for your grand ideas. That's okay. But I know that there is value in sometimes beginning and building from small. And everybody, by the way, I told you, and I gave you an assignment, and I told you, go and speak to people who have succeeded, not people who have inherited wealth, but people who have built block by block. They will tell you that they started from low. I even have a friend of mine, who also started from that low. Now today, she is living in that big dream home in Karen. So it's not like you cannot live in a dream home, but where are you starting? Where are you starting? What is your stepping stone? Back to the conversation about SACCO. So I was saying that two routes. One, you might decide, okay, because of where I am going to take a loan. I'm going to save maybe for 1 year, assuming, for example, you're able to save maybe 30,000 a month, for example. Assuming when you do your budgets, what you can be able to put away, what you can be able to commit for home ownership is, for the home ownership goal is 30,000 shillings. Okay, so 30,000 shillings, you ask yourself, if I can save 30,000 shillings in a SACCO, what does that look like? So you'll be able to save 30,000 shillings in a year. That is 360,000 that you will have saved for the year. Then you say, okay, now the two approaches are, you can either decide that I will then after the year I will take the loan and be able to buy the plot, and then repay the loan, and then now take the next loan. Or you might decide, okay, you know what, if you are like me, the bull, the thing that just you want to complete things in one go. And I think sometimes I kind of think that there's value in that, because for me, the route that I favor, I'm talking about the route that I favor. There is this route of, I will take the loan, I will save maybe for 1 year or a couple of months, depending, of course, on what is the price of land, wherever it is that you're buying. Then after you have saved, of course, the SACCO is ×3. Of course, remember the guarantors and the people that will guarantee you, so you take the loan and buy. So that's route number 1. Then after you have bought, then you will take some time, you pay. Assuming that you're saying that for me, my first 3 years, I am going to dedicate in buying the plot and ensuring that I have secured the plot. That is the first 3 years now for this route that I am talking about. And then the other 7 years, because we are talking about a 10-year goal, maybe a 7 to 10 years goal, and sometimes it could be lesser, depending, of course, on the amount of money that you're able to put away. But I am looking at somebody who is, earning a reasonable income, yes, but they are not necessarily able to commit so much money so that their stretch goal becomes a 10-year goal. For me, I told you, my goal, I was able to actually complete the home ownership goal, finished the construction and everything in 5 years. But that also depended on where are you living, because sometimes you can make the sacrifices and decide, I am not going to live in an expensive house where I am renting. I will live in a smaller house, because we are talking about starting life early. I'll live in a smaller house so that I'm able to commit more money to savings, more money to this home ownership goal. I actually have, I remember, I think I have had about 2 of my tenants. I have some small little houses. So 2 of my tenants, and they were paying rent for about 6,000 because we were living in some double rooms. Those are people, they decided they will live in this small little house of 6K, and then they are going to commit themselves to building. By the time they left my house, they went they went into their own homes. So it is possible. I mean, it is possible. So this first route of saying that I will first save, take a loan, buy the plot, and then pay the loan for the plot. And then after that, I will now take the construction loan and use the number of years that I will use, depending, of course, on the type of house you want, whatever. I mean, it's really up to you to decide how you want to do these things. But at the end of the day, for me, what I am encouraging you is that home ownership is important, and I want you to own a home. I don't want you to just be randering in renting people's houses, because you can lose your job. Listen to me. I have been there, done it. So then you, after 3 years or after 2 years, depending on the amount of money you have taken, then you decide, okay, now the next season, which is going to be 5 years or 6 years or whichever number of years, depending on your SACCO, you will now take the construction loan, and make sure that once you have taken the loan, you're not taking loan and then kinyumba inakaa tu. It is taken, get the structure done. Once you get the structure done, in a way that it is habitable. Don't worry about sijui kuweka inaitwa nini hii masimiti hii atiaga plaster, it has to have plaster, it has to have nini, it has. No, I remember, let me make you laugh. When we came here, we had no electricity. We entered our house without electricity, without water, without plaster, without floor, we used to mija, the way you sprinkle water. Is it sprinkle? Inaitwa sprinkle, I think. The one of, you take some little water in your hand and do like this, so that when you sweep, there isn't so much dust, like we do in our villages, something like that. That's how we used to do it. We would just sprinkle water, and then, if it is water, because we didn't have piped water, we were buying from the donkeys. Kwani tulikufa, si tuko hapa, si unatuona tuko tu here, very nice, good. So we used to get donkey water, and we would now buy donkey water, and then now we used to really, we use it nicely until the next time when we need the donkey water. If it is this things, by the way, I didn't even have doors. I only had 2 doors, kitchen door and main door. Huko kwingine curtains na shulia hizo curtains. After all, I had come from a single room where we were doing curtains, so it wasn't a big deal for me anyway. Same case with you. Don't. So then so that's one route, and you make it a goal, and you finish and you clear with it. And the reason I am encouraging you to do that, if you are able to do that earlier in life, it means that by the time you're hitting 40, or at least in your 40s, you are now beginning to do the consolidation. Because remember, in this channel we talk about taking charge of your financial future. You begin to now consolidate. You begin to consolidate to save and invest, so that by the time you're living employment, and I don't know, whether you're living employment, until retirement, whether you're staying in employment until retirement, or whether you're staying in employment and then building your other side business that you can transition into, because inevitably someday you will leave. So your basic, home ownership is also part of your process of preparing for that day when you will leave employment. Then, so that's one route. And so you are saying, and so you will have done your mathematics. Remember, the Bible says that when you start building a tower, you cannot start building a tower without calculating the cost. So sit down with pen and paper, yes, and a calculator, so that you really do your mathematics, and then see. I told you how I was doing my mathematics, and iringiana tu kimchezo. So do your mathematics, do your math, so that at least you have everything in line. So that's one route. The other route would be that, hey, mimi hapa, what I am going to do, I am not going to split these things. I am going to save for 3 years. So remember, we are still working on the 30,000. I'm going to save 3 years for 30,000 for 3 years. By the time I finish saving 30,000 for 3 years, I'll have saved 1,080,000 shillings, if you do the math. And then you can decide, okay, now that I have saved 1,080,000, then I can be able to take a loan of 3,240,000, because it's times 3. If it's times 4, depending on your SACCO. Now, if I take that times 3, I am able to actually buy the land, and do the construction and enter. There are no manenos of swimming. No. The goal here is, I am buying the land, I am doing the construction, ninaingia. Hata kama nitaingia, as long as I have a shell that has windows. By the way, do you know, when we were entering here, I told my husband, wewe, fanya hivi. If we don't, since money ilikuwa imeisha kabisa, and now it was time to move, kamwambia tutaweka cartons kwa hizi windows, but by the grace of God, we got some little money to help us put the windows. We were putting those windows when our things were outside here, waiting to enter. The same day we were putting those batis, and everything is the same day that we entered the house. So the thing is, you can decide, you can take that route and take that decision, so that you will then have stopped paying rent, and the amount of money that you're paying rent, you will then add, so that you can now begin to make your loan repayments. You can pay, you're not necessarily paying 30, you're paying maybe 45, 50, 60, depending, because it's not like umepandwa mahali, you are advancing in your career, you are growing in your income, you're growing in your income, you're advancing. It's not like you are stuck in one place. You're growing and you're advancing in your career. So because then your income is growing, and that's why I talk about women who are in mid-level, because then you're continuing to advance into senior level. So you might have more cash to release. And then when you begin to repay your loan, your home ownership loan, it means that you would have to then say, okay, what things am I willing to forego? Because let me tell you, hakuna magic kwa hii maisha. There are certain things that you would have to forego. And you would say, like, now if you have taken this route of saying, mimi nitachukua loan ya 3.2 or 3.5, whatever amount that is, depending on, where you're going to build and what kind of house you're going to build. Once you have decided that, you would be saying, this means that for me to repay this loan within 4 years or within 5 years, this is the amount of money that I need to pay. Then you would be saying, okay, first of all, the thing that I am knocking off, because nitaingia hii nyumba hata even if it's not complete, you are, and you stop listening to people, listening to your friends who are just thinking about going to Kilimani and I don't know going to where. You are your own person. You are your own person. So you decide, okay, sasa, this is the loan repayment this is the loan repayment. So you have knocked off rent. So because you've knocked off rent, you bring it to the repayment of loan. And there are many other things that you will knock off. You will knock off a few things here and there. You knock off. By the way, you can even knock off the car. Let me tell you, you can knock it off. The people who go by matatu they are not from, I don't know what planet Mars. They are from this planet, and because it's goal oriented. And sometimes you might say, Akilusi, you're telling us to do matatu. Really? How can you tell us to do matatu? Or you can even change your car. If you're driving a big car, you can decide, I'm going to sell this car so that I can have a smaller car. Kaijin kadogo, because all I need is something to take me to work or something to move around. So you can downgrade the car into a smaller car, which means that then you're not using so much money when it comes to fuel. Okay, so downgrading doesn't necessarily, I'm not just necessarily telling you go matatu. You can downgrade using, downgrading the car. By the way, can I tell you, me, nilikuwaga hiyo kitu. I was country director. And I drive the same car that I was driving 12 years ago. I haven't upgraded. And it's not like I am foolish or anything. It's just that at some point I made the financial mistakes. I korowashanad. But even now, even if I had the money, that is not going to be the first thing that I would do. Because of where I am looking at ahead tomorrow iko namna gani, how am I securing, how am I, beginning to put out to bring in my passive income, because you have got to set the foundation. And once you have set the foundation, because once you have completed the home ownership goal, umemaliza, you have now, you're putting in the little things that you need to put in to finish that home, you will have finished that home, and then you can now move on to asking, sasa hii nimemaliza, how do I begin to build now the passive income streams? And passive income streams, it may be that you might want to build rentals, or you might want to, put in bonds, or you might whatever, all those other ideas that are always that are spoken about. But we are talking about financial security. We are talking about financial security for you who is in employment, because a time is coming. A time is coming, my sister, my brother, if you're a man who is watching, a time is coming when you will not have that job. A time is coming when you will not have that high income. A time is coming when there will be so many responsibilities as you advance in age that will prevent you from doing those things at that time when you want to do them. So you would rather do them now. And we say it, by the way, even if you are to start that house, even if you are to do that house and enter and then complete, and then as you continue to advance in your career, as you continue to advance in your business, you feel, this is not the place I want to live, you can sell that house. Like the example of my friend that I have told you, she was able to sell her house. She was able to sell her house and move to wherever. Now she lives in some place, wapi, go for what. So you can do that. You can do that. So don't get limited, and don't get stuck at certain things, because as you grow, as you get to my age at 50, because me, I know I am talking to people here who are in their 30s and maybe who are in their early 40s. Don't delay home ownership. If you can use your employment to help you smash this goal of home ownership, it was so good for you. Because of now, you might ask me, but it is, I might lose the job so now those are the things that we talk about. Those are the things that we say, risk management. You apply risk management. And how do you apply risk management? You have to always, by the way, when you're in employment, let me tell you, whenever you're taking a loan facility, when you're in employment, you must always ask yourself, in the event that I lose this job, how would I service this loan? What would I do? That's called prudent risk management, right? And so you apply that, you employ that, and I am not saying that it should hold you back, but I am saying that you always have to think about that. Of course, you pray that things will go well, but life is life. Sometimes things happen. Sometimes things don't work the way we had hoped that they would work. So think about risk management, and you're saying, and maybe you might have you think about risk management so that it is clear for you. And that's why, even if you're committing home, like 30,000 to your home ownership, on the other hand, there's also something else that you're doing so that you're continuing to invest for the future. You're continuing to put in some other possibilities, so that in the event that things don't work, you can still rely on the other investments that you're still working on. The point is, we are talking about financial security, and for me, I preach home ownership as a point for financial security for you who is employed, because I know what it looks like. I have lived that life, and I know. Now today, if I wanted to, do you know, when I felt that it was important for me to now start developing my coaching business, because then I had my own compound, it was easy for me to decide which space do I now set up my office. Now, so the fact that I have this home has actually, and I am able to build this office, it has actually, saved me, business costs of renting out an office, renting out a place where I can do my videos or whatever. So home ownership is important. So I hope that you have understood. And of course, the last piece is to say, do your research. Do your research in terms of the SACCO that you want to belong to. Do your research so that you're not just, it's when you're doing about the home ownership goal, you're doing the whole spectrum of the research. Which SACCO? What do they do? I don't know. You can find out in the market whether there are SACCOs that actually would build for you, and how long it would take for them to give you a housing facility. Do your research, and you will be able to come to the conclusion. The point is looking at clarity and being clear that home ownership is a goal that you want to pursue. Don't listen to the talk. There are people who always talk, hiyo ni ya matajiri. They have a nose, they have eyes, they have a tongue, they have 2 ears, like you. So it's really about making a decision. Don't just listen to the talk. You can't. You can. It's really up to you. If you just focus, it is possible for you. So I want to wish you the very best, and I want to, continue encouraging you to subscribe. Hit that like button. Don't be mean. Surely, after giving you all this information, you can like, put a comment there. And remember, I also run a Wednesday Bible study. And there's I think this week on Wednesday last week Wednesday we were talking about was it the light or something, light in the darkness or something. You check the videos, and let's continue journeying together. And I am your sister who is looking out for you to take charge of your financial future. Until next Friday or next Wednesday, see you, and let's keep it higher.